Our first destination is 고양시, 경기도 province. Where am I right now? Well, let's head inside and take a look. This is the Latin American Cultural Center in 고양시, 경기도 province. Founded in 1994, it is Asia's largest Latin America-themed cultural space. Here, you can enjoy around 3,000 cultural artifacts from Latin America, including ancient relics from the Maya, Aztec, and Inca civilizations, artifacts of Latin America during the Spanish colonial period, folk items, and even works by contemporary Latin American artists. And there is actually a special reason why I came here today. The reason why we are here today is to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Latin American Cultural Center. At this point, I'd like to introduce two very important people. These are the founders of the Latin American Cultural Center. Director Lee Bok-hyung was posted as first secretary and consul at the South Korean Embassy in Mexico in 1967. After that, he also served as a diplomat and ambassador in 4 Latin American countries until 1993. They lived in Latin America for over 30 years, where they continuously collected ancient relics and contemporary art sculptures from the region. After retiring, they invested their personal funds to establish this center, displaying the pieces they had gathered over the years. This place is more than just a museum. It has an art gallery, a religion exhibition hall, and a sculpture park. In addition to their own collection, they also showcase pieces donated by various Latin American countries, offering visitors a chance to experience the diverse charm of Latin American culture. As I looked around, I became curious. Establishing a cultural center isn't an easy decision. What inspired them to create this place? I decided to ask the director this question.
Well, I retired from the long diplomatic service in 1994. During that time, I spent most of my ambassadorial post in Latin America. We had a lot of collections. So after we retired, we decided, after discussing with my wife, why not set up a museum? That's the whole thing, to introduce Latin America to the people of a country so that their view toward the upward world will be larger, you know. Some say they don't have to go to Latin America if you come here and go around, because we have a large collection, one and only, not only in Korea, but I think in the whole Asia.
Having spent nearly 30 years as a diplomat in the Latin American region, and even establishing the Latin American Cultural Center in Korea, there was one thing I felt I must ask him. How significant is the relationship between Korea and Latin American countries?
We are the nation, one of the nations, perhaps which has a larger dependency on having good relations with outside. So Latin America is very important on our national security and commerce and investment, of course. And as they have a rich natural resources, which we don't have it, and as the number of Latin American countries is 32, on the international issues, when we need the support, their vote you have 33 boats, you know, who have consistently helped us. Cuba was the only country which desisted. But recently, as you know, we established relations. We have a Cuban representative in Korea.
This cultural center also collaborates with Latin American embassies in Korea a lot. In this way, the center serves as an active hub for cultural diplomacy, which is why many ambassadors have come today to celebrate the 30th anniversary.
I want to express my congratulations for Ambassador Lee, his family, for this initiative. The center is a bridge of culture for Korea and Latin America, and I hope these 30 years became also 30 years strained relation Korea and Costa Rica, and Latin America, of course. Yes.
So how do you think the cultural center contribute to our bilateral relations?
You know, the culture are the bridge for people to people. Here, when Koreans arrive to visit this center, I think they take some our culture and bring with them, as we appreciate Korean culture, K-pop, Korean food. This exchange of culture is a way to increase this relation.
I'm very proud to be here celebrating this anniversary because I think in this Gorgers Museum there is an important treasure from Venezuela. There are 3 important pieces from Victor Sala. Victor Sala is an artist from Venezuela that belongs to the artists that represent the kinetic art in Latin America. Many Venezuela, they didn't know the history of Victor Sala because he was living here in Seoul and he made this art here in Seoul, in this museum, during the period he was living here in Korea. It will be interesting to show to the Venezuelan people through your program the pieces of art of Victor Sala. So it is very, important. It gives me a lot of pride to be Venezuelan and to know that the art of the Venezuelan people is very valued here in Korea.
Uno, dos, tres. Yeah, thank you.
A small ceremony celebrating the anniversary took place.
오래간만에 좋은 날씨, 가을 날씨에 나들이 오신 생각하시고 천천히 보시고 많이 즐기시기 바랍니다.
사실 우리 고향 특례시의 이 국민 삶의 질 향상과 문화 발전에 이바지하는 큰 뜻이 담긴 공간입니다. 이 자랑스러움은 이루 말할 수가 없을 정도입니다.
With 30 years of experience in Latin America and now connecting Korea and Latin America through the Cultural Center, the founders and their family truly embody the essence of a diplomat.
The center is a basic, absolutely fundamental instrument for cultural exchange between Latin America and Korea. The permanent exhibit, the museum that we have here to our right-hand side, is in fact an installation that houses and hosts artwork from almost all of the Americas. They have brought this collection to Korea, later acquired other works for their garden with sculptures. Some of the very best sculptures of the best sculptors of Latin America are actually distributed around that garden. And so Koreans who visit this exhibit become familiarized with the artistic traditions of Latin America.
Why do you think culture exchange between countries are important?
I think it's crucial, actually. Cultural exchange basically allows us to do 2 things. It allows us first to establish connections with other people, because culture also always, human culture always has common roots. So that's basic, so that we can identify others as ours. At the same time, it does exactly cultural exchange, exactly the opposite function. It allows us to identify diversity and differences between our own culture and those cultures of others, and allows us then to appreciate difference as something positive.
So one way people from different cultures can truly respect each other and discover the similarities and differences between their cultures is through cultural exchange. I have one more thing to share with you. To celebrate the 30th anniversary of the center, a special exhibition was held. It is an exhibition by a Mexican artist named Lino Chavez. First, let us briefly introduce who Lino Chavez is.
Lino Chavez is a renowned Mexican sculptor and painter. Born in 1967 in Mexico City, he drew significant inspiration from his artistically inclined family. He graduated from the National School of Plastic Arts in San Carlos, Escuela Nacional de Artes Plásticas San Carlos, and earned a diploma in art history from the University of the Cloister of Sor Juana, Universidad del Claustro de Sor Juana, in 2006. Since his first group exhibition in 1983, Chavez has actively showcased his work through solo and group exhibitions.
So, would you like to take a look around the exhibition with me? The first thing that caught my eye was the intense use of colors in the artwork. Then I also noticed that many of the figures in the paintings were playing music. I thought that perhaps these figures, each with their unique appearance and color, might be performing the beauty of life. I was fortunate enough to have a chance to talk with the artist.
Ahorita nos referimos mucho a cuentos de un mexicano, porque yo creo que la literatura, la filosofía, el cine, yo los veo como un cuento dentro de todo lo que nos están expresando ellos, ¿no? Entonces yo a través de las pinturas, por medio de los colores y las formas, trato de crear un cuento para poder que la gente lo disfrute. Y trato de que el color y la forma rompa el silencio de una pintura, ¿no? Que tal vez las notas que están ahí, a través del color, se pueden escuchar.
I learned something surprising during our conversation. The founders of this center knew Lino from when they lived in Mexico.
Fue una experiencia muy padre, porque yo hace tal vez como 20, 30 años conocía a la mamá del señor John, cuando yo estaba en una época en que hacía unas esculturas completamente diferentes a la de ahora. Entonces fue la primera relación que tuvimos ahí. Ahí surgió la amistad para tratar, después de mucho tiempo, planear esta exposición ahorita.
Perhaps because of this connection, a few of his early works are on display at the Cultural Center. I thought that it is quite a remarkable story. The fact that the founders formed a bond with this Mexican artist when he was young, and now, years later, he's holding a solo exhibition at this center. Hosting a special exhibition of a Mexican artist at this Latin American Cultural Center, I'm sure it holds special significance for the Mexican ambassador as well.
Una característica del arte mexicano es el color, el que transmitimos emociones, los grandes formatos. Y en ese sentido, la obra de Lino es una obra muy mexicana, pero que además representa un puente importante entre México y Corea. Son los sueños de un mexicano en Corea.
So is this your first time visiting this center, and what is your impression about this center?
No es la primera vez que lo visito, déjeme le platico que recién llegué, a los pocos días de haber llegado, me tocó visitar el centro y pues quedé sorprendido porque encontré un pedazo de América Latina, de México, en este centro, un lugar que vibra y que es un gran puente entre la cultura coreana y la cultura mexicana. Déjeme decirle que como ciudadano del mundo estoy maravillado de este centro.
After exploring this place and talking to various people, I realized once again how significant a role this culture center plays in bridging Korea and Latin America. And just like the wishes of many who cherish this place, I hope that the Latin American Culture Center will continue to be here for a long time, narrowing the physical distance between Korea and Latin America. This week's episode isn't over yet.